On the night of May 14, 2008, a 19-year-old college student vanished in rural Minnesota. There were no witnesses, no surveillance cameras, no signs of violence. But there was a phone call that lasted 47 minutes. A phone call where Brandon Swanson spoke to his parents right up until the moment he disappeared. These are the facts. And this is one of the most unsettling missing person cases in American history. Brandon Lee Swanson was 19 years old. He was a student at Minnesota West Community and Technical College, described by friends and family as responsible, intelligent, and dependable. He had no criminal record, no history of depression, and absolutely no reason to run away. According to police records, there were no red flags in his personal life. He was just a normal kid, finishing up his first year of college. On May 13, 2008, Brandon attended a small gathering with friends in the town of Canby, Minnesota, to celebrate the end of the semester. Alcohol was present, but investigators later confirmed there was no evidence he was severely intoxicated. He was just having a good time with his friends. Just before midnight, Brandon got into his car, a green Chevy Lamina, and began the 30-mile drive home to Marshall. He never made it. At approximately 12:30 in the morning, Brandon called his parents, Brian and Annette Swanson. He told them he had accidentally driven his car into a ditch. But he also said something important: "I'm okay. I'm not hurt." He wasn't panicked, just frustrated. It was a common mistake on those dark, rural roads. His parents immediately got into their car and began driving to meet him, a familiar routine for anyone living in the countryside. Brandon believed he was near the town of Lind, Minnesota, a small community along his route home. That single piece of information, that one assumption, would later prove to be tragically wrong. While Brandon stayed on the phone, his father, Brian, tried to locate him using landmarks. Brandon described what he saw around him: gravel roads, fields, and total darkness. There were no streetlights, no house lights, nothing to guide him. At one point, Brandon said he could see lights in the distance and, assuming it was the town of Lind, decided to start walking towards them. He told his parents he was leaving his car and heading for the lights. His parents, also driving around the Lind area, flashed their headlights, honked their horn, and yelled his name, but they couldn't see him. They couldn't hear him. Yet Brandon insisted, "I'm walking toward you." This went on for 47 agonizing minutes. Two parties, a son and his parents, moving toward each other, talking continuously, but never connecting. They were in the same general area, but separated by an invisible, insurmountable distance. At 1:17 in the morning, with no warning, Brandon's voice cut through the static. He suddenly yelled, "Oh, shit." The line immediately went dead. His parents tried calling back. No answer. They tried again. The call went straight to voicemail. According to mobile carrier records, Brandon's phone was never powered on again. In an instant, the conversation was over. The connection was lost. And Brandon was gone. His parents continued searching frantically through the night, their calls echoing unanswered in the dark. Police were notified within hours, and as the sun rose, the official search began. That morning, Brandon's car was found. It was stuck in a ditch, just as he described, but it was undamaged. The keys were still inside. His wallet and glasses were in the car. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no broken glass. It just looked like a car that had veered slightly off the road. Footprints were discovered in the soft dirt near the road, leading away from the vehicle. They followed the tracks across a gravel road and into a field. And then they just stopped. The trail went cold. It was as if he had been plucked right out of the field. As the investigation deepened, authorities made a shocking discovery. Using cell tower data from Brandon's final call, they determined a crucial fact. Brandon Swanson was not near Lind, Minnesota. He was actually about 25 miles away, near the border of Lincoln and Yellow Medicine counties. In the dark, disorienting rural landscape, with no landmarks and no lights, Brandon had completely misidentified his location. This explained why he and his parents had been so close, yet unable to find each other. They were searching in the wrong place entirely. But it did not explain what happened next. It didn't explain the sudden curse and the silent phone. The new search area was pinpointed, but what it revealed only deepened the mystery. The area where Brandon was last believed to be walking was extremely dangerous at night. This wasn't a gentle stroll through a park. It was open farmland, covered in tall grass that could easily hide treacherous terrain. The ground was uneven, pockmarked with deep drainage ditches, and, most ominously, it was near the Yellow Medicine River. The river, swollen with spring runoff, was cold and fast-moving. Law enforcement quickly developed a primary theory. Brandon, walking in the pitch black, likely fell into a ditch or the river itself and was overcome by the cold water. This remains the official theory. It's a plausible, logical explanation for a sudden disappearance. But there is a huge, glaring problem with it. Despite one of the most extensive search efforts in Minnesota's history, authorities found nothing. Law enforcement, trained search dogs, helicopters equipped with thermal imaging, and hundreds of dedicated volunteers scoured the area. They found nothing. No body, no phone, no clothing, no personal items, not a single trace of Brandon Swanson. The Yellow Medicine River and the surrounding fields were searched repeatedly, over weeks, then months, then years. The river was even partially dammed to lower the water level. Still, nothing surfaced. If he had fallen into the river, experts agree that some evidence, a piece of clothing or eventually his body, should have been found. But there was only absence. Experienced law enforcement officers who worked the case later admitted that this one was different. It wasn't the violence or foul play that haunted them, but the complete and total absence of evidence. A young man, speaking clearly on the phone one moment, and then gone the next. One officer described it as, quote, "one of the most frustrating missing person cases we've ever worked." Brandon's final words, "Oh, shit," suggest a sudden, unexpected event. A fall, a hidden obstacle, an animal, or maybe even an encounter with another person. But without any physical evidence, every theory is just speculation. It's a puzzle with all the edge pieces missing, a story without an ending. Today, the disappearance of Brandon Swanson remains unsolved. The case is officially classified as missing, presumed accidental. His family continues to search. They established Brandon's law in Minnesota, which requires police to begin an investigation of a missing adult under 21 without the previous 24-hour waiting period. They continue to hope for answers. And every year, on the anniversary of that fateful phone call, the same chilling question returns. How can someone just vanish while talking to their parents? Brandon Swanson did not disappear into legend. He disappeared into darkness. No witnesses. No closure. Just a voice that suddenly went silent. And a mystery that, years later, refuses to end. Thank you for watching. If you have any information about the disappearance of Brandon Swanson, please contact the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office.